Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra. Have you or someone that you know faced cyber fraud in the last 3 years? Well, you may not be alone, as cyber frauds in the country are increasing. 39% of Indian families have claimed to be victims of online financial fraud in the last 3 years, as per the latest Local Circles survey. Now, to discuss more insights from this report, joining in with me on the show, I have Mr. Sachin Taparia joining in. He's the founder and CEO at Local Circles. Sachin, welcome to Business Today TV, and thank you so much for taking the time out for speaking to us on this very, very important issue. The latest report by your company, Local Circles, is an important matter that everybody out there who deals in online money transactions is going to be interested in knowing about. First up, this is a whopping number, 39% Indian families having claimed being victims of any form of online fraud. If you could explain to us and all our viewers as well, where all did you conduct the survey, how many families did you really approach, and what has been the key finding? Would you be able to say that the instances of cyber fraud are increasing? If yes, then by how much?
So, Sakshi, we reached out to close to 15,000 families and got 32,000 responses from across the country, covered 330 districts, 331 districts of the country. So it's not just Delhi, Mumbai, the big cities. We reached out to tier 2, tier 3, the Aligarhs, the Muradabads, the Madurais, all across the country, just trying to understand what is it that people are facing from a fraud perspective, especially online fraud. And, the key finding there was that 39% citizens or families have had one or more instance of financial fraud in the last 3 years. In the previous 3 years, we had done this survey in 2022 as well. This
Okay.
number was 42%. So
Okay.
mild, very small improvement, and that was a bit encouraging. Where we saw some sizable improvement was in the bank account frauds. This
Okay.
number was 29% last year, and it dropped to 10%.
Okay.
However, on the flip side, the debit card and credit card frauds increased. They were, at about 18% of people facing or families facing debit or credit card fraud last year. That number went up to 23%. So an area of concern. And the other big area of concern that came out was when people have such an issue, they really don't know what to do, right? And in many cases, depending on where you are located, they end up going to the local police station. And
Correct.
that is where, there is a lot of resistance that they face to accepting their complaint, or, they being advised that, there is no point complaining. And hence, only 24% of those who actually faced some kind of fraud were able to get their money back. So a large
Exactly.
majority, which is,
Yeah.
3 in 4, were not able to get their money back because either the complaint was not registered, they didn't bother because it was too
Sure.
cumbersome.
Exactly, Mr. Taparia. I was going to actually ask you on that itself. I mean, in your report, I read that about 70% of these families have said that they were not able to get their funds back. So that's a larger chunk. So I exactly wanted you to explain to all our viewers what are the key reasons behind this. Is it the absence of a smooth system that we have in India where one can go out, report, file complaints that one has really faced a financial fraud? Or is it less people really going out to the respective places to at least report that they have faced something like this? What exactly are the key reasons that you have been able to spot here?
So first and foremost, Sakshi, is, they don't know where to go. So people don't know if, let's say, they got a link through WhatsApp, they clicked on that link, they were supposed to get something or they were promised something, but 2,000 rupees came out of their account, right? They don't know where to go. And in many cases, the amounts are not huge. So therefore they feel, is it really worth it to go to the police station and, spend hours and hours there trying to register a complaint? So that's, resistance to complaining. Second is you go to the police station and the staff there is not sensitized or is aware about how to handle online fraud complaints, right? So that's the second issue that people face. Now, if they go beyond that and they are able to get a complaint registered, either with the police or with the bank, or with the platform where they have lost the money, then after that, it's a cumbersome redressal and a very time consuming redressal process. So
Hmm.
the combination of these three things essentially leads to majority of the people basically, still being dissatisfied after filing a complaint or after facing this kind of fraud. And I think that is something that we as a country, the regulator, the different government agencies, MeitY, MHA, the different state, home departments and the local police, they all need to kind of work together on this issue because cyber transactions are only going to increase. We are all seeing, the increase in UPI, the increase in card
Yes, yes.
transactions, digital transactions, wallet transactions. So we really need to figure out some kind of a robust mechanism where everybody is sensitized, even the citizens are sensitized, where not to engage, where to engage, right? What are safe digital practices? You don't share your PIN number, with the next person in the line, right? So these are some basics where I think sensitization and awareness creation needs to happen. And then, of course, the administrators and the authorities need to kind of create a system, or if there is a system, create awareness about it and let
Sure.
people, let some of these grievances be addressed.
Sure, but you hit the nail on the head, Sachin, because you did say that these frauds are only going to increase. So, what is the need of the hour is to perhaps have a robust mechanism and to sensitize the citizens about such frauds as well. But to that point only, every day we are looking at how technology is aiding the kind of frauds that are taking place. They have become more sophisticated from before, and even the most aware people who would otherwise on the back of their mind be very aware about such situations, given that time of few seconds, perhaps a misjudgment on their part could also lead to a financial loss as well. So what exactly can we actually look at doing at this point in time? Because of the sophistication, you cannot just point out that, okay, a few people in some tier 2, tier 3 cities who have not ever done this are only the kind of people who have been facing such instances. You yourself in your survey have pointed out it's all across that such people have faced it.
No, absolutely. The other thing that goes with this actually is, of course, people are facing these issues, but, the data of the personal data of our citizens is very easily available.
Yeah.
And, all somebody has to do is basically join 2 or 3 databases and they can pretty much get your name, your Aadhaar number, your mobile number, your PAN card number, and a lot of
Yes.
other details. And
Yes.
they aid in conducting these kind of frauds where you get one data point, like an OTP from somebody's mobile, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have their base data easily available. And I think that
Yes.
is where the data protection bill has got a bigger role to play here.
Yeah.
So organizations, whether it is banks, whether it is telecom companies, take more steps about protecting people's data. So it's not that easily available. So I think
Correct.
it's a systemic, a set of actions, if you would, which need to be taken to kind of be prepared to kind of address these issues that people are facing across these, integrating it with a cyber,
Sure.
number or a website or a hotline, creating awareness about it. So a whole host of actions that need to be taken.
Sure. Sachin, do we have an estimate of the amount of fraud that has taken place over the last 3 years, and where exactly are maximum cases of frauds been taken? You did talk about how increasingly we are using UPI and digital payments now, but have you been able to spot that, which is the mode where most of the fraud have taken place?
So, it's a good mix. Debit card, related frauds are the highest, debit and credit card related frauds. Shopping related frauds are also huge. huge. And I think this is one area, you mentioned earlier that, people need to observe restraint and kind of, not get carried away. So what ends up happening is you go to a news website or some other website on your mobile phone or
Yeah.
some app, you see an ad, right, which is basically telling you that, this is something worth 3,000 rupees you're going to get in 300 rupees, click here, right? A lot of people end up clicking. I think close to 20% people end up clicking and giving their debit card and credit card information, right, to buy something that, spur of the moment, basically impulse purchase, because it's
Yes.
such a, a good deal that
Attractive
they're
offer.
seeing, that they end up giving this information, right? And therefore, now their debit card is basically public. They've given it to a site which is an unsafe site in, engaging in such frauds. And in some cases, they are seeing recurring transactions now, because the permission that they have taken, that site has taken, is not just for that one time thing, but 300 rupees a month for the next 12 months, right? So
Yeah.
the recurring transactions, and again, so that's something that people are not able to get their arms around, that, they're still seeing that charge every month, of 300 rupees, because that permission has been given by them explicitly in that process of trying to buy something. So it's a whole host of, then you have the ATM fraud, the bank account fraud, a whole host of frauds basically that people are seeing. And in many cases, it's these classified websites, right? Which is, somebody wants to buy a scooty, they go online, they see it on a website, a classified site, they don't know, the buyer calls them, says, look, I'm going to give you 2,000 rupees, just click over here and you'll get them, and they do that, right? And
Yeah.
2,000 are taken away rather than given to them, right? So those kind of frauds are also very, very common.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand that as well. But what I wanted to understand the larger role of the regulators here. How is the RBI? I'm sure, like all the regulators are abreast of the kind of situation we are in currently, and the cases are reaching out to them. What are they really doing at this point in time, and what can we expect from the RBI and other regulators at this?
So, RBI, I feel in a lot of these cases, Sakshi, that the complaints are not even registered. And therefore, if let's say the number says that for the last 6 months, 4,500 crores worth of fraudulent transactions have taken place, or frauds have taken place, that number is grossly understated, because most people are not even reporting those frauds. And we are only talking online frauds. Cash frauds happen all the time, and the magnitude is much higher.
Yeah,
So that, I think that number is understated. If we make that entire grievance reporting process, if that is strengthened, if that is made more accessible, more authorities are sensitized, I think we will get better reporting. That's number one. Number two is basically creating awareness amongst citizens that, if you face something like this, then, these are the three steps to be taken. And something that, it shouldn't be physical in nature, it should be online in nature, ideally, where they are able to file a complaint, give enough information through some Aadhaar authentication or some other authentication, and that complaint goes to some kind of a central body, but then
yeah,
that same complaint also goes to their local police
right.
station, ideally, right? Does not have to deal with a police, will get somewhere, in the sense that, if it's easy enough, more and more people will report, right? The government will have better data, and we will, reduce these instances over time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Sachin, for being with us on the show and discussing all these insights. Of course, this is an important matter which is going to be looking at how the authorities really take things into their consideration, and how on the other side citizens need to be aware about any kind of online transactions that they do. They have to be mindful about it and not get lured by any kind of phishing mails or attractive offers, and that could actually lead you to a trap. And that's where we need to make all our viewers also aware about that. Thank you so much for this survey, and we shall continue to touch base with you going forward as well, in case we do see any development from the government side on this as well. Many thanks, Sachin. And with that, we wrap up on this edition. But do stay tuned on to Business Today TV for a whole lot more coming up right up on your screens from the world of business and stock markets.